Hello YouTube, I'm Toby. Today I'm going to review a very budget computer case. The case in question is the MODECOM 8300mm Tower series. I found this case for 109 Danish crowns, which of writing this is 17 US dollars. Now this is not very much. It is in fact very cheap, and if you take the 25% sales tax we have here in Denmark into account, it may actually get even cheaper for many of you out there. I started by taking the case out of the seemingly tough packaging. There are no scratches on the outside, so it's fair to assume that the packaging is good enough. Taking a look at the outside of the case, the matte black finish on the sides and the top of the case is very nice, and the grey plastic around the front makes for a great contrast. Removing the right side panel is very easy. Take out the two thumb screws and slide the panel off. This is, however, where the low price started to be visible. The side panel flexes very easy and really doesn't feel that robust. It seemed that there were some weird white stains on the inside of the panel. This was easily removed with some rubbing alcohol, so not a huge issue. Inside the case we see some ugly cables. It's a good thing that there is no glass on the side panel, because who would really want to look at those cables? The cables connect the front I/O to the motherboard. The front I/O consists of two USB 2 headers. I'm assuming these are two USB 2s. There's a headphone jack, a microphone jack, a power button, which actually has a very nice click to it, a reset button, and two LEDs to indicate when the system is on, and hard disk drive activity. Also on the inside there's a small bag with all the screws you'll need to build in this case. They are plentiful and I didn't get to use all of them. Also included in the bag is a small piece of paper with installation instructions and some brackets. Generally the inside of the case is very boring. We sure have a lot of space to play with, but color and design wise it's not very nice to look at. Furthermore, the case comes without any fans, so I'll have to take one out of storage. The left side panel comes off after taking out two screws. I don't see why they couldn't have done this with thumb screws, but I guess maybe it was a cost-saving measure. The way the inside and side panels are built, it looks like cable management is going to be difficult and maybe a little sloppy. In order to install the DVD drive, we first have to take the front panel off. The manual says to hold on the top and pull on the bottom. I felt like I was about to rip the case apart when I tried this, so I came up with a better method. I simply used a 6mm wrench head to depress the plastic locking things, and the front panel came right off. Easy enough. Generally the case seems structurally weak without the side panels, and there's a lot of flex in the entire case, and I even had a rivet that wasn't done properly. Before we get any further into this review and build, I first want to introduce the components I'll be using in this build. The motherboard is an ASRock N68-GS4FX-R2.0. It's a socket AM3+. For the CPU, I chose the AMD Phenom 2X2 since this is what I had laying around. I originally wanted 8GB of DDR3 RAM, but this motherboard only supports 2 sticks, so we are stuck at 4GB. The graphics card is an ASUS EN9800 GTX. However, I later switched this one out for the ASUS GTX 260. For storage, we have a 250GB Maxter hard disk drive, and to power it all, I bought a brand new MSTech 450W power supply. I started by installing an 80mm Arctic F8 fan on the outside, as described in the manual, but when I went to put the front panel on again, I learned that there was no room for it. So I had to take it apart and put it on the back side. Really, all I needed the front panel off for was to slide the DVD drive in, which will come out of this fancy little door. Neat! Generally, installing components in the case was easy and with few problems. One problem I ran into was that with the large graphics card, the caddy for the hard disk drive was in the way. This problem was easily solved by putting the caddy in the bottom and securing it with the included brackets. As you can probably tell, the way the caddy is installed, it's a little in the way for the intake fan. I don't see this as a problem since it ensures good airflow to the hard disk drive. Not that it really needs it, but if it were an adapter with an SSD in it, it would ensure some good cooling for it. The build is now done, but as you can see, it is a mess. Alright, some cable management later, and it looks more organized. Not perfect, but better. Time to turn it on. Right now I still have the 9800 GTX installed, and it refused to give an output. So I changed it to the GTX 260, and this was more cooperative. And the system is alive. Let's access the BIOS just to make sure that everything is detected, and test the DVD drive. Some things I learned building and staying in this case is that the edges are sharp, so be careful. Also, the screw holes strip very easy, so make sure you do as little work as possible in this case. Before we end this video, let's go over the pros and cons of this case. The pros are that it's easy to work in, it's cheap, it looks kinda good from the outside, there's plenty of expansion options on the inside, the power button has a very nice and positive click to it, and the instruction manual for the case is easy to understand. The cons, however, are the sharp edges, the soft and thin material. Cable management is very difficult. There are no USB 3 headers on the case. The cables are generally ugly, and it's got no included fans. And the final question on everybody's mind, should you buy one? Well, if you want to learn about building computers, or if you need a cheap case for extra components, or just to build something, then this case is maybe something for you. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video.